Hi, my name is Eilidh Fulton, Student President of Glasgow Caledonian University Student Association. Today I'm going to talk a bit about quality assurance and what it means to myself and to students here in Scotland. I've got my notes here just to keep me right, I hope that's okay, and to make sure that I'm answering the questions that I've been asked to answer. So the first question is, what does quality assurance mean to you? To me, quality assurance means the continuous monitoring and enhancement of academic quality in higher and further education. To me, I have a bit more knowledge about academic or quality assurance in the academic field in Scotland because that's where I'm based and that's where most of my teaching has been, although I have spent a few years out in the States as well, but that was in my high school years, so any experience with higher education has been in Scotland. But yeah, so I believe that everyone has the right to a quality education and a high quality at that. And as a representative of upwards of 17,000 students, I want to make sure that students know what quality assurance is and how they can be involved with that, and the different opportunities that are available to them. So Scotland, like I mentioned, is a little bit different to the rest of the UK. We focused a lot more on the enhancement of education and the enhancement of quality academically rather than just looking at the quality of it. So we have our enhancement framework. We also do a lot of work with Sparks, which is students working in partnership with quality in Scotland, and I'll go into a bit about that in a little bit as well. So how did you first hear about quality assurance opportunities within your institution, and was this something new to you, and what were your impressions of your experiences? So as a student representative, I first started off as a class rep when I came into the university. I then went on last year to do my year as vice president for the School of Computing, Engineering and Built Environment, and now this year I've taken on the role as student president. So throughout those three different roles that I took on, I was introduced to quality assurance and what that kind of meant, not only for myself but for my fellow students. Primarily as a class rep, that was more just looking at it in the classroom and within that program, whereas when I went on to do my year as vice president and then my year as student president, it's looking at it at a much larger scale. I now also sit on the Scottish Higher Education Enhancement Committee, which looks at quality assurance nationally in Scotland. So I've got a bit of a voice for every student in Scotland when it comes to quality enhancement, which has proven quite beneficial, not only to me, but again, to other students, and to make sure that we've got our hand in the ring when we're talking about quality. There's different opportunities that you can take part in our university. So we have our program reviews, we have SAGE, which is our educational committee within our student association, but also as a part of my role, I sit on all the different academic committees within the university. So committees such as Academic Policy and Practice Committee, Learning and Teaching Committees, Student Experience Committees, which then also focus on learning and teaching, and Senate, which is our highest academic committee that we have at the university. So I sit on all of those. I also liaise with our academic reps and make sure that they're getting engaged with different consultations, different reviews of programs, anything to do with the learning and teaching experience at GCU. We have a student involved with it, whether it's myself or someone else. It was all new to me when I first came into the role, so I didn't really know much about quality assurance or what it meant for students. When I kind of dipped my toe in the water when I became a class rep and I found out a little bit more about it, but it wasn't really until I took on the full-time position as vice president and then as president to really understand what it meant and what a good or excellent learning and teaching experience was. So through being part of different academic committees and then also taking part in the Sparks training that I mentioned earlier, that gets you kind of caught up to speed with what quality assurance is and how you can make a real difference in your institution and also nationally. The next question is, from your experience, how can institutions support and encourage student engagement? So I think institutions can support and encourage student involvement with quality assurance by providing students with information around what quality assurance means to them, how they can get involved with the different opportunities at the institution or out with the institution as well, and supporting them along the way. So one of the things that our student reps can get involved with is our program reviews. We support students by doing both briefing sessions and debriefing sessions to make sure that they understand all the information that they've been given, they understand what sort of questions that they might want to ask, and then after the program review, how did it go, what could have run better for students so that other students get involved with these sorts of things. But a lot of our students that take part in our program reviews or our institutional review tend to take part again and again because they do really enjoy it and they see the impact that they're making on not only their student experience but everyone else's student experience as well. So we found that we have some really engaged students here, but we're always trying to get more on board. Checking my notes again, but we also have a student partnership agreement. So this is an agreement between the university, the student association, and students to work in partnership across all aspects of university life. So in this case, it would be through quality assurance and the learning and teaching experience of students here. And it's just a commitment to say that any changes that are going through, whether that be through policy or through program approvals or reapprovals or reviews or withdrawal or suspension, that students are involved in that conversation and that their feedback is legitimately taken on board. And we found our student partnership agreement continues to grow each year, but it's getting stronger and stronger, and we think that we do truly work in partnership here, and we have a really good relationship with the university to make sure that students' voices are heard in terms of quality assurance. We also have our course reps or our academic reps. So we have a class rep system. So each of our classes have class reps. Usually there's 2 to 3 per program or per level per program. We also have department reps. So this is for our undergraduates. So we have, for each department within each school, we have 1 rep. And then we have our postgraduate taught reps and our postgraduate research reps as well. And these are all of our academic reps that sit on different academic committees, such as school boards or some of the committees that I mentioned earlier, like Senate and the Academic Policy and Practice Committee, to make sure that it's not only myself in the room, but also students that are currently on the ground studying and they know what's happening at the grassroots level. They're in the room as well, and they're in that conversation. We also run our student-led teaching awards. So this is a way for students to kind of evaluate how learning and teaching is happening at GCU. It's students that nominate lecturers for awards. So there's awards around feedback, around support for students, around learning and teaching. So students are experts in their own learning and teaching experience. They know what's happening in the classroom and they know what works for them. And that's really important for us to keep in mind, is that no one knows the student experience better than the students. So having students being able to nominate teachers that they think have gone above and beyond to give them a really great learning and teaching experience is crucial to continuing to grow that experience for them. And we found that lecturers, it's one of the most kind of sought after awards that we do, because they know that students know what's happening in the classrooms and they know what's working best for their fellow students. So that's another way that we kind of monitor how things are working in the classroom. So the last question is, how do we make this a sustainable practice? So I think in order to keep quality assurance sustainable, a focus needs to be placed on student engagement and supporting and encouraging students taking part in these different opportunities. So we do that like in-house with our student association training. So when we get class reps in or department reps in, or our new full-time officers, so our vice presidents or our student presidents, they all go through their own set of training to understand the learning and teaching experience at the institution, but also that they might be going out with the institution as well, and what does that look like. We encourage students to take part in the program reviews, in the institutional review, to take part in different quality assurance agency events that go on around Scotland. I take part in the enhancement themes that again looks at more the enhancement side of quality assurance rather than just driving it strictly from a quality assurance background. And we're constantly encouraging students to get involved with this, and we've had some great successes in the past. We've got quite a lot of our old officers are now reviewers for the QAA, so they can take part in different institutional reviews that we are currently going through just now. So we'll have other officers that have signed up to be a reviewer to take part in that panel. So it's not just our own institution that we're encouraging this at, it's out with us as well. Also, to keep it more sustainable, I think continuing to develop the training that not only we have as a student association, but also some of the training that Sparks does, and to continue to keep that as a key resource for your time as an officer. One of the really good things that Sparks did this year was that they had a kind of online pack for their training, and that's something great that we can reference back to during the year, so that we all went to the training day, but if we have a little question about, ooh, how does this fit into my work, or how can I make this change for quality assurance at my institution, we can go back to that and reflect on that. And I think continuing to develop that and leaving that there as a resource for student officers to go back to is a really great idea. Your time as an officer is over before you know it. You're in the door, and next thing you know, it's June, and then you're back out the door again. So understanding how you can make that impact while you're here is really important, and I think both Sparks and in-house training that we do at the Student Association really sets up our officers to do that, and we've had a lot of great change as a result of that, so I think just to keep on going with that as well. And I think that's mainly it. I think I've said mostly what I wanted to say. I'm more than willing to take questions. I believe I'm going to be dialing into this meeting to hopefully take some questions from you guys. And I'm sure there's stuff that I've missed out, so please ask me stuff. Again, I know quite a bit about what's happening in Scotland in terms of quality assurance. I can try and answer on a UK level as well, as I do take part in NUS for UK and different conferences that they run, so hopefully I can answer your questions, but thank you very much for listening, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.